Happy Friday, and welcome to the Joffice Live, everyone. How's it going? Hope
What's
you're.
what's studio mode?
Uh, that lets me have a second screen so this I can edit things before it actually goes live.
Nice, nice. So they just saw some random stuff.
Yeah, they just saw an old screen that I accidentally clicked on. Hi, everyone. I know you can hear me. Oh, it's Friday.
Yes, that means there's a weekend coming up, which is when I get to work with fewer distractions.
This is true.
My favorite time. We have a pretty fun weekend coming up on our end tonight, but we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Going into this week's Joffice episode, it's going to be a short one. Not a lot of huge news to talk about yet. We do have more and more My Hero stuff coming up each week, but before that, first we wanted to talk about DLC, I guess, a little bit.
Sure, let's talk about DLC. I know people are curious about that. Jason, what do we have to talk about with DLC specifically?
So, specifically with DLC, other than the My Hero Academia DLC coming out with Series 1, we are starting the new DLC monthly releases back. They're going to start in January. That's because of the pandemic and printing and everything else. So, getting back into the swing of things, they're going to start back in January. February, I believe, is also a My Hero DLC. And then we'll have one every month going through the year. Again, going back, getting everything going and rolling once again. What we would like to know is we already have quite a few DLC sets kind of just stored right now. I would like to see what the fans prefer their favorite titles are that are going to come up so we can kind of prioritize the first releases being the more popular, talked about once here, and maybe we'll adjust our DLC schedule a little bit based on fan feedback. You guys all know that the titles that we have rights to, just go to our website and you can check those out. I will say that Top Gun is not going to be included in the DLC, so don't ask for that one.
But damn it, I want my Iceman.
Iceman and Maverick, and
I know we've had Mega Man Iceman, but I want my Top Gun Iceman.
We should just do an alternate art.
I can do that.
I'd love to see in the chat on all of the platforms what titles do you guys want to see as DLC coming in that we have rights to. And this is a time we don't usually say this, but this is a time I'd like to see some of the titles we don't publicly have rights to that we've told you at least. To see, because I've seen some really cool things in Rochester CCG's show. They've been doing, make your own 4 characters, make a DLC, how would it look, what symbols would these guys have, and that kind of thing. And that's been really entertaining to watch. I know Tim has partaken.
I didn't submit for that. I would have, but I was kind of busy.
You've done a couple of the card designs with them, though, which is really fun. And I'd love to see what everybody has in store and in mind for the ideal DLC packs to come out in the future.
Yep. I would totally show off my concepts, but I don't want people to think that we're going to be releasing that as actual product.
Right. It looks like DLC is continuing to be made in the U.S., so that's great. That's currently what it is, with the exception of My Hero DLC. The next one coming out is made in Japan for sure, and it might also be made in the U.S. There's a huge supply-demand problem in the collectibles world, as we've talked about a couple weeks in a row. So we have been splitting our manufacturing effort into multiple countries. We've also reached out into Singapore recently for My Hero to get even more backup printing for the demand that keeps growing and growing and growing. And that's a good segue. So we want to read everybody's DLC suggestions, starting with January. And then going into that, we are going to be changing the model that we normally take orders for our games. So typically what we do is we'll take a bunch of pre-orders, we'll survey our premier stores, and we'll survey our distributors and see about how much that they want, and we'll print a decent size overage and try to keep stock for X number of years before it sells out. Usually we try to get it to sell out at the 2-year point, so we have plenty of product for price support and all that kind of stuff. Moving forward, because the demand is way, way bigger than the supply worldwide for all kinds of card games and collectibles, we're going to be taking on a model that some other games do, where if you take your pre-orders in and you get your pre-orders in with your stores and your stores get their pre-orders in, Those will be guaranteed, and this is going to go for DLC. This is going to go for boosters, 2-player rival decks, 2-player turbo decks, basically everything in the universe's world. We're going to ask that you get used to putting in your pre-orders to guarantee your product. Because right now, and I foresee this through the end of 2022, massive supply issues. So we want to make sure we can 100% guarantee our players to get their product. This is going to be different from mass market. Mass market's going to get what they can get. About hobby, we want to make sure you guys definitely have your product guaranteed. So we'll start sending out pre-orders a certain number of weeks or months in advance before we start doing print runs, and we'll be printing as much as we physically can between our 3 current printers. We have another printer in China as another backup if absolutely necessary. So there's 3 countries printing, and supply coming from other countries as well, including Canada. So as you can see, this is a massive operation. My Hero is a huge success. We have lots of print runs going at the same time and making as much as we physically can. So moving forward, get used to pre-ordering so you can guarantee your product, because we do want to guarantee that if you've got your pre-orders in. We don't want to be allocating sometimes is necessary depending on how the process is that people are taking their orders, but for our game we want to guarantee that you get your product as long as you pre-order. So that's going to be, moving forward, the model that we're going to be taking. We will print overage because we do have to have price support. I know people are going to order late. But our overage numbers are going to be much smaller, mostly because we actually can't add to our orders these days. We get a set amount in a print slot, and that's about it.
And then we'd have to wait for a new print slot in order to print more, and depending on the amount that's the minimum, it might not be worth it for us to print more, right?
Well, not only that, it's more the time frame. When a second print slot opens up, it's typically months after, because it's not like you can just say, okay, we're ready to print more and it's available. There are things printing for months and months and months at a time at all of these factories. And because of that, the next available slot, even if it's 1 day difference, could be 2 months away. So because of that, we want to make sure that we're guaranteeing everyone's product.
All right, Jason, I'm going to look at the chat. A couple things. One, it looks like the 2 top responses for desired DLC would be Yu Yu Hakusho and Mega Man, actually.
That's fantastic news, because I was thinking about both of those.
We have a lot of questions asking about the Mortal Kombat Kickstarter. Guys, that's information still coming. Once we have that all figured out, we'll definitely tell you. But we don't want to jump the gun and promise a time slot when we're not ready, right?
Yeah. The big thing with Mortal Kombat, nearly the entire project is approved through NetherRealm. There's just a couple of things that aren't, that won't take that long. It's mostly like final production stuff, but which obviously we don't have right now. But the big thing is the in manufacturing, there's a big demand supply problem. So we want to make sure that we're not getting things at a price that's going to be triple or quadruple the normal price. I don't want any kind of massive sticker shock on that project. So we've been negotiating. We actually had a meeting today with the factory on getting it to where we can offer close prices to Street Fighter. It's not going to be, we've said this for over a year now, you're never going to get it for the price that Street Fighter was ever again. That was already pretty much no margin built in, and now the cost of almost every raw material has gone up. Shipping has gone up. Everything's gone up. So we're trying to get the smallest raise in price before Mortal Kombat comes, and we can still launch the project as humanly possible. So that's where we're at right now. And as soon as that happens, and we know that we have a fair price for all the backers, then we can say, all right, we're going to launch in X weeks, and we'll start previewing a lot of the add-ons that you're going to be able to get ahead of time, so you can prepare for what characters you're looking to get, not counting stretch goals. And that's for that. And then same thing for the Mega Man board game. I know a lot of people ask about the Mega Man board game. That one does have 4 miniatures in it that are compatible with the UTS system. That was also discussed today. That one, the only thing left right now on that project is we have attack art that's needed for Roll, the character. And traditionally she does not have a lot of artwork, so that's being custom made for the game. And as soon as that custom Roll art is done, which should be any week now, it is a lot of art, but I think it's going to be done probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, then that project's ready to go. So so then it'll be a scheduling issue on which one is going to launch first, between Mega Man and Mortal Kombat.
All right, moving on to another one. Brennan Berry, to address your concern, Mortal Kombat X, the card set, is out of print. We have run out of stock. There is no more. So, there were 3 years to get product. It is currently out. We could potentially do a small printing of promo cards for it or something. We're talking about what we can do since it's still legal stuff. But it's been out for a very long time, and currently we have run out of stock.
Yeah, and Mortal Kombat was a very large print run. Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Cowboy Bebop were some of the largest print runs ever done, so there shouldn't be a shortage in the general public of those products. We don't have any more that we can release, but if it becomes a problem in the meta, then we will look into potential reprints as a second edition. We don't do a lot of second editions, but I do expect that with My Hero, every single set's going to have a second edition. It's just the way the printing's working for this one.
Okay. Odoc from Twitch asks, when does MHA ship? If you're asking about individual orders, those will ship when the set releases. If you're asking when does it ship, that's when it's done being made.
Like, when does it get on a boat? Like, they really ship on a ship?
Odoc also had a follow-up saying, will there be themed binders? Potentially, I'm not sure. I know there are accessories that are planned, but we
can't talk about too many of the accessories yet. We can tell you the Dragon Shield, the Arcane Tin Man accessories we have. There are 3 sleeves out currently. There will be more. We are talking to partners about a lot more accessories that could include binders, that could include deck boxes. Obviously, playmats are coming out with launch. There are 3 launch playmats that you should get your pre-orders in for, by the way, before they are sold out. They've already sold through the first print run, so they're on print run 2. And those that's such a large print run that they're not being done in-house by Jasco Games. Usually we do our playmats in-house, right a couple doors behind Tim. And these runs are so large that we don't have the manpower for them, so they're being done in bulk. So get those orders in if you're looking for your playmats for My Hero Academia. There will be more playmats, there'll be more sleeves. I do expect to see binders and deck boxes down the road, and a bunch of other accessories. We just can't talk about all of them yet, because as they get designed and approved, and then we have a manufacturing partner, then we can officially announce each one. There's a bit of a process to each of these because of all the partners involved. Hopefully that helps answer that a bit. And then, so we've talked about the pre-order model I wanted to discuss with our players so they get used to that, pre-order and guarantee your product. We talked about DLC and the new schedule for DLC. Premier stores, I know right now Premier stores it's a little confusing because you still have to order My Hero through Asmodee, and they have their own flagship program. They're treating it essentially exactly the same as the Premier Store program. They're doing acrylic displays. In fact, I know the first order of flagship Premier Store displays, there's over 1,300 of them already being shipped out. So you can see that program is growing and growing, even in hobby, to massive numbers, and we're not even close to the full amount. Down the road, we'll be making more and more of these acrylic displays. But we are working currently on a new solution to the Premier Store program with Asmodee's partnership in mind. And we hope to roll that out here in the next couple of weeks as well. So we haven't forgotten about the Premier Stores by any means. It's going to be a discussion between us and Asmodee on how we can roll this out moving forward the best way possible, so the Premier Stores still get all their benefits and tournament support and all that kind of stuff. Because this is a short show, we're going to jump into the card segment that we started last week. Oh, stinky card segment.
Sorry, it's getting hot, so we're getting the things flying around.
The bugs, but those aren't supposed to be able to live here.
Anyway, so we do have a card we wanted to talk about this week that Jason and I both enjoy. And yeah, let me pull that up.
I actually just read a genius comments here saying that we should have a subscription model for DLC so that you get it every month. That's actually...
So, I really like that idea. The only downside to that idea is we really love having originated as a store. it becomes complex to do some sort of subscription model while also maintaining a good profitability for stores.
That was going to be my next comment. Is it would have to go through your stores, but it would be like a comic book subscription where you get your comic book box at a comic shop. That is the ideal way I would like to do DLC. If you can get your guaranteed orders in with your stores, and every month your DLC is just going to pop into your named box. Oh man, that is a really good idea. I really like it.
Right. So here's
good job, Matthew Patrick Vallejo.
Before we get on to the card that we want to talk about, I just saw a comment come up. And I do want to address this because I've had a couple of emails this week already. On our website, we have our turbos and DLC and booster boxes sold out for My Hero. Now, the reason for that is because of print run size. So, the majority of product, as usual, goes to distribution. Right, Jason?
Correct.
And we, especially with how big we're expecting everything to be, have already made a deal, the exclusivity, where the majority of the product for this is going to the distribution, and we were only getting so much. Well, we've had a lot of sales on our site, even though, some of your stores might be able to give you a discount or whatnot, a special thing. We have had a lot of sales, so we are out of our allocated stock, because we want you guys and your stores and all the people out there to be able to get it from your local place. So if you're talking about from our website, that's why we are out of stock. It is not completely gone. There's still going to be something to buy.
That's also just first edition. When we know that second edition is coming in, we will have our own new allocation, and that will be made available. But first edition stock is gone.
I didn't want people to continue to do pre-orders and then us find out, oh well, we're low on. Well, they'll have to wait, right?
We don't want anyone waiting when they want it for release, for sure.
Yep. The pre-orders have been so great that we are uncertain just how much extra. Like, we might still have a little bit extra after we do all the pre-orders we have, but we want to make sure that we don't oversell it from our supply.
Yeah, and one more thing. These comments are really good today. They're really some really good questions in terms of the convention seasons coming up. People are asking, are we going to Gen Con? Are we going to UK Games Expo? Are we going to any of the Canadian expos, Toy Fair, Origins, all this stuff? Right now, for My Hero Academia and Universes, everything Universes related, we will be piggybacking on the same shows that Asmodee goes to, which usually includes Gen Con and most of the big shows. However, they're not going to Gen Con this year, so Jasco's capacity at Gen Con will probably be limited to us showing up for meetings, but not necessarily having a booth. This year, we've already rolled over into next year's Gen Con, so we know we're at Gen Con next year. But in terms of which conventions we're going to, we'll be partnering with a combination of Funimation and Asmodee. So anime conventions and gaming conventions that we can partner together on. So keep that in mind as we move forward and get a little bit more past pandemic season. Hopefully, I think we all hope that this is going to be behind us pretty soon.
I will say I am really excited for the possibility to go to the UK again. I enjoy it over there. So if we're able to go over there in the future, I would love to go to the UK Games Expo. We just got to see what the future holds, right?
Same thing for Essen and the Gamescom in Germany, I believe it is, and there are a ton of big conventions for video games, anime, and board games. So we're going to be at as many of them as we can. And Asmodee's partnership is just going to help us with our reach. Same thing with Funimation. We've wanted to do that for a while, and this all kind of just had a big kink in the chain because of COVID. And all of this was already planned, but it will be kicking back up here pretty soon. Not immediately, but pretty soon. All right, so we have a card to talk about.
We do, and that card is loading. That card is a skull barrier.
Yeah,
there we go. Hey, it's on the screen.
And it's the awesome full art version.
Yes, the PTC promo that was produced.
So yeah, Tim was asking me what card we want to talk about today. I really wanted to. I think this is rotating with My Hero, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It does rotate soon. I know we talked about a card that's going to rotate soon last week as well. But this card has seen so much play in the meta and so much high-level play in the meta. I really wanted to point it back out while we still have a little bit of time with it. As a defensive piece, this has saved my butt a couple times. It's saved probably a lot of people's butts a couple times in games.
I mean, Chaos is my favorite symbol, so...
And I'm a huge fan of Death, so obviously, and I've played a lot of water decks competitively, so I probably played every symbol pretty regularly at this point now, to be honest. But my favorite symbols, Death, Order, Void, and whatever my fourth symbol is. Death, Order, Void. Now I forgot.
I don't know. I have looked at your character card a couple of times.
Air. Death, Order, Void, Death, Order, Void, and Air. Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you like Roberto so much.
Yeah, he's got all my symbols almost. Tim, tell me anything you want to say about Skull Barrier, and then we'll go into some of the play for this card.
I will say, first off, this card, when I started playing the game, aside from a couple of Neomax cards, was the most expensive card in the game.
That's
it
strange.
Was a few months old because I started playing during Words of the Night, so it was 5 months old, maybe 4. And yeah, man, this card, there are times where you don't want to use that response, like if they can just kill your attack, but the response to discard 2 momentum and just kill an attack is really good. It'll save your butt. And don't overlook the 3 damage. Like, if you can pump that, you can block, reversal, and then make it like 7-8 damage, and then it's something that will definitely interrupt because they can block it. It's real easy to block, and so you're not looking to generally get the damage out of it. It's more of making them have to deal with it because they don't want to deal with 8 damage. So yeah.
From a defensive point of view, and I love defense in all of my games, you get a block off with it. You can block with itself. You can reversal with itself. So you get the value there. So you're getting it as a block. It reverses as itself. It saves you a card out of hand. And then if you have the momentum, it stops another attack. So what you get value-wise from one card is basically 3 cards in hand. And that's how I see this card. When you have the momentum, this is an absolute powerhouse defensive card. And I've said time and time again, reversals are the strongest keyword in the game. I think most veterans, but the more you play, the more you realize that. A lot of people think multiples are super, super powerful, and that's how you win games.
I mean, multiples are pretty powerful, but...
They are. Of course they are. I think they're the second most powerful keyword. But I think reversals as an interrupt to your turn, as an unplanned thing that's probably going to happen, you don't know, in a reversal deck, or some people throw the tricky sideboard reversal in, or one-off reversal. You got to be ready for that, and if you're not ready for a reversal, it's game ending, typically. Not only in just the damage you can lose, but the card pool clog, the disruption to your build, your turn, and everything else from a reversal. Very, very powerful keyword. So Skull Barrier, to me, is like a 10 out of 10 card in terms of just utility, power. We can gain momentum. And that's why I wanted to bring this one up.
I will say, in today's day and age of the game, I would rate this a 7.8. It is super solid.
For power level, because it's an attack, you're thinking of it as, it doesn't have the utility to kill like a lot of attacks do. But in terms of I see it kind of like a defensive action that can do damage. Same way I would see Fatality. These are more like attack actions, right? And this type of ability, I would not be surprised to see it on set after set after set, where there's these cool floating effects that can do something from your card pool. Very common to happen in the game, and because of Skull Barrier, it's actually one of the ones that set off a lot of the future card pool powerful abilities that just sit there and wait for something to trigger.
Oh yeah. I
love it as a cost. I think it's a great cost. It's visible to the opponent, but it's not always visible like something in your stage.
We have a comment Someone that says they like Breaker more than Reversal as a control player. I don't know. I think control players really love Reversal because that's a very controlling thing to do.
I'm never gonna throw down a personal preference. I love Breaker too, and
I don't know, man. I would almost always rather have a give me Navos over Team K-Dash any day.
Well, that's a pretty unfair comparison, but it's purely from defense. I would say this type of reversal that doesn't cost an extra card from your hand is better than a Breaker.
And we have a few of those.
Straight up better.
We have a few of those around right now, and we even have a character that turns every reversal into that.
Yeah. Now the 2-card reversal, I could see why you might sometimes prefer Breaker, especially if you can pump your Breaker up to Breaker 3, 4, or 5. If you have the ability to really get that up there, or play a couple Breakers back to back, it's just as devastating to your turn as a reversal could be.
See, Jason, that's why you just play Fatality to break the Breaker.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are a lot of good cards. There are a lot of good counters to counters to counters in this game. One of my favorite parts about this game.
Anyway, so yeah, guys, Skullbearer, still a cool card, still highly playable. I will say, we had a question, can we expect keywords like Reversal in My Hero? We are carefully trying to cultivate that format, so don't be surprised if you see the full slew of everything that's in current universes, but also don't be surprised if it takes a little bit longer for some things to get introduced.
Yep, and we also have someone asking if there's new skills and new, I'm guessing, keywords and things. Yeah, I mean, it's just like what Tim said. We will slowly be introducing new stuff into My Hero format. In fact, we're kind of thinking outside the box for My Hero. So as sets go, we're going to be bending the LGR and creating new things as we go, because I know that set 3 we have something big planned that's going to really shake things up. And as we go through, new mechanics you can expect to see every now and then for sure, and some really unique things for My Hero.
I will say this, and this is the closest thing to a design diary comment I'll make for right now, in that there is already a wide swath of abilities and mechanics in the Universe's card game, and if you look back at the start of the original game, there was not even half of that, right? There's a lot of things that have been introduced over the 15 years the game's been around? It's 15 years now.
Is it really 15?
This is the 15th anniversary.
Oh man, what a year for it. Actually, with the launch of My Hero, I think it really is going to get what it deserves for the 15th anniversary. Like, for as long as this game's been out, and then the massive success that My Hero already is, and then what it's about to become in growing universes as a whole. I'm super excited. I keep saying it every week.
And I will tell you, I am hearing lots of people that are very excited, even longtime players that do very well regularly, that currently are very, very much looking forward to the refreshing, or being refreshed by the upcoming format, I should say. So
the format, and then new players, like we talked about this last week, new players getting to play with these mechanics, and coming from mostly a Magic clone kind of CCG world where most games have quite a few elements from the original CCG. I would say this game, so far in my history, and time again, I've used that phrase twice now, has continues to impress me that it is so unique in the mechanics. The only thing that is even kind of close is that there's a health, hand size, and you commit stuff, which is like tapping stuff. Other than that, the mechanics are so different and refreshing and fun, and you can play your deck to your style more in this game than any game I've ever played. That I can't wait to just get more and more new blood to see these mechanics. That's what really made me fall in love with it. UFS made me into a Street Fighter fan. I was more of a Soul Calibur fan and Mortal Kombat and a bunch of other fighting games, and I got into Street Fighter more through UFS than I did through anything else. It was a game I played in the arcades every now and then, and after UFS, I really started to appreciate the titles that came into UFS a lot more, and found out so much more about things like King of Fighters and Soul Calibur already knew really well.
Speaking of King of Fighters, somebody did ask a little bit earlier, are we ever going to reprint any of those cards? And I'll say, this is a thing about licensing, so those of you that are new to licensed games, especially as a company with a game that goes in and out of different licenses, they're generally contractually for X amount of time, and when that time is up, even if it is a product that you've made, you're unable to reproduce that product. And currently, we do not hold the license for King of Fighters. Who knows what the future holds? But
anything's possible. Sadly enough, when a license expires, this is the most heartbreaking thing ever.
Right.
There's in any licensing agreement, there's a time period where after the agreement's done, usually 3 to 6 months after the fact, you actually have to destroy everything in your possession.
That's true.
It's heartbreaking. You never want that to happen. So we try to renew our licenses as much as we can. But we typically don't like to have more than 10 active licenses in our company at once because it's just a lot to keep up with. Down the road, that could change as the team's about to grow, and we should be able to handle a little bit more, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the players are ready for 20 releases a year.
Right.
By any means. Like that's the big the give and take in licensing and universes is we want so many cool characters, and I think that a lot of them can come in through DLC, but giving everything the love of a full set is literally impossible for all the titles that we like because of the year and the price point and all of that stuff. Like, we don't expect people to be paying more for card games than they do to live. So, and we also can't afford to do that. We can't make a set every 2 weeks. I don't think anyone would be able to keep up, and that would certainly kill the game. But regardless of how many popular titles there are, we want to do the right thing, get the best love into each set that we can, and then do quarterly releases, which seems to be the most reasonable for the CCG community, and then try to introduce characters here and there.
All right, Jason, before I forget, I just remembered, this weekend there is a third-party event. It's not something we're running, but I do know that our good friends, Legendary Wolf Games, partnered with Cards of Ivalice, that they now carry universes. They're also one of, if not like the biggest online singles carrier for Final Fantasy cards as well. Which, cool. Congrats to Square Enix for that game to continue to be successful. I love Final Fantasy games. But they are running an event this weekend in Orlando at the Collective. I don't know if they did have a player cap, I believe. I don't know if they're sold out. If you're in the area or you just decide, hey, maybe I just want to up and fly somewhere for the weekend and play some card games. Maybe you can go and play it. I think that you should be able to find information on that event on the various Facebook groups or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see reports of that event because it should be fun.
They're doing regular standard, right, Tim?
I think so. I don't know. Chat, tell us what the format is if you know.
It's not an official Jasco event like Tim said. So we're going to be watching like everybody else. If they're streaming up, I can't wait to watch that over the weekend after my hockey games and stuff because that's today. By the way, go Knights go. I wanted to make sure I brought that up because last time I said it, we won, and we didn't get to say it the time between. Woo! From the official round 1 playoffs, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks, Ralph. Ralph Andino is telling us from the Collective that there are about a dozen or so tickets left as of yesterday. So if you, even if you're in the region and you're like, hey, let's go play some cards, go to the Collective, play in this event. It should be fun. It is, in fact, standard format. Should be a good time.
And if you want a spontaneous trip to Disney World and get to play cards on the side, flights are, depending on where you're flying from, I've seen flights for like $30 one way.
Now, speaking of Disney, I know they just opened up the new Avengers park in California. Did they do that in Florida too? I'm not sure.
I wouldn't know. They usually open the Florida branch before they do the California branch. So Star Wars was open there first, for sure.
Okay.
I saw it. I didn't go there, but I saw that it was open. But I don't know. I mean, I bet everybody in Florida knows this like the back of their hand. So
I know when I worked there, we had to know all that stuff. We like had to keep up on all the information in case people asked. No, not yet. They do not have Avengers in Florida yet. It is California first. Cool.
Not gonna lie, Disney World is pretty awesome.
Disney World's fun.
If I don't have to work there, pretty awesome. It's hot though, man. The humidity in Florida, it gets to 120 here. It doesn't bother me at all. I can go to 90 degrees in Florida, and I'm like sweating through 3 shirts before I finish my day. So anyway, that's some unrelated to anything weather.
I was about to say, yeah, guys. So thanks for joining us today for Friday. We didn't have much crazy, awesome news reveals for you, but here's one thing.
What, Tim? We do have. No, never. We'll save that for later.
Yeah.
I was gonna show off a Mortal Kombat thing. It's not.
We'll do that later.
It's not the right time.
We'll do that later. I will give a little bit of Street Fighter update. We just submitted Australian web orders, and we should be wrapping up all the things we need shipped from our U.S. fulfillment center, and we've accepted payment for everywhere. So our fulfillment center that is located in Asia, even though we're not allowed to sell in most of Asia, just picked up their stock to ship to the rest of the world. So with all of that going out, we have begun processing web orders. So if you ordered in December or January, you should be getting your stuff processed very soon. Over the next week, we should have that coming to you shortly. And then I believe the rest of our stock from the factory is on the boat over here. So once that gets in, we'll be man, it's gonna be a busy June, I'll tell you that. We've got lots of orders. We've got all the Street Fighter that's going to be going out. We have, by the way, Jason, I don't know if people know this. We have, I think, 1,000 pre-orders. Like, I think we've almost sold out of all of our overstock of the Street Fighter game.
Yeah, I was following that on the online sales, and it's like, man, this game. It is super awesome. It's a really good game system. The miniatures are second to none. I don't even think we can call them miniatures. The bigatures? I don't know. That sounds bad.
That
you don't want to.
That was no. We're done. We're done with that. The premium model, whatever. Our Street Fighter characters. That's it. But anyway, so those should be going out soon. If you ordered a little bit later, like if you're probably late February through March, you might not be able to have your order processed until we get the rest of our stuff. But it's on the water, so it should be here, within, I want to say like maybe 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, probably. You had some really good news for the Australian backers too, or not backers, people that ordered online.
Yep, those.
Instead of having to pay like $700 shipping, which I heard at least one person had to do from US all the way to Australia, they do get it fulfilled from Australia, which means they get a massive.
We had a little bit of stock left over there, so refunds. If we ever ship something out and it is less than what you paid by a significant portion. I mean, if it's like $2, we try to get people like our internet or our online shipping pricing is really accurate. But if it's off by like $1, we apologize. Those things,
swing either way.
Shipping changes on a daily basis, right? So, but for those that were planning on having to pay for shipping from here and were able to fulfill it from over there, I'm definitely going to get you your money back. So, great.
Yeah, that's awesome for a lot of the Australian backers. The EU is going to get the same thing. If there's any overage in the EU and the UK,
there should be a small amount. Yeah.
It's first come, first serve. So if you were already on the pre-order list, the earlier ones will get it for the cheaper shipping locally, so they don't have to ship it from the U.S.
Yep.
And then someone was asking, final before we get off for the weekend, how are the How to Play videos coming along? We are working on video 2 and 3 next week. We have voice recordings done and video editing, and it's going through approvals.
What I was doing before we started the stream today. So
yeah, so there's a process to these videos because we want to really get the learn to plays right. There's also commercials on the side of this too that we've been working on. But I think we're a couple weeks out, and then that'll be really good stuff, really fun, so we can start preview season.
Yeah. Yep, I'm excited.
I know we're all excited about preview season. So.
All right, guys. So, again, thanks for joining us for so long, even though we didn't have much information for you. We will see you next week. Golden Knights. Good luck to everyone playing in the event. Also, congratulations to everyone that played last weekend, and I believe specifically Clint Badger from Canada, I believe, won that event. That was hosted by Red Riot Games. Also, another awesome store if you need singles, aside from Legendary Wolf Games and Rochester CCG. If they don't have what you need, check out Red Riot Games. They might have what you need.
Or check it out anyway.
Yeah, that too. Or check it out. All three of them are great people, great businesses, awesome dudes.